Yeah, I don't even know
Okay.
who's in charge of stuff now.
We don't have a quorum yet, do we?
I've been out.
Okay, everybody, I would like to call the BZA Appeals Meeting for July 11th to order. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Roll call.
Mr. Fowler?
Here.
Ms. Harlow?
Here.
Mr. Horvath? Mr. Trick?
Present.
Mr. Wolf?
Here.
Mr. Deuce? Mr. James?
Okay, next item on the agenda is the election of vice chairperson.
We didn't do the vice chair.
Right, so it now's, well, tonight we're doing the vice chair, and who's next on the list? Who's next supposed to be the vice chair? Or do we have to make it just a nomination? Okay, well, there's only 4 of us. Does anyone want to make a nomination, please?
Isn't it the standing rule we nominate who's not here?
Not fair.
Um,
You just nominate somebody who won't show up.
Well, here's the thing, there's only 4 of us. We could postpone it until another person, until we have a full quorum of people.
I'm going to be gone in August. So if there's a meeting in August, that would be the best time.
Now you're worried we're going to nominate you.
No, he was just chair, so.
It should be
I
me?
think Jennifer's term's up next, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All those in favor?
I'll nominate Jennifer for vice chair.
I second.
Could we have a vote?
Mr. Fowler?
Yes.
Ms. Harlow?
Yes.
Mr. Trick?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
I'll make it unanimous, yes.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Vice Chairwoman.
Okay. Next item is the approval of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Any second? I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the agenda is approved. Next item, swearing in. All those who are going to give testimony before this board, please rise and raise your right hand. The testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, sit down. Thank you very much. Next, the item on the agenda, hearing appeals BZA number 2022-05, Cincinnati Pools and Patio for 10721 Weatherstone Court, construction of a swimming pool in the front yard of a flag lot.
Good evening, everyone. So my name is Nathan Baker. I work under Brian Snyder at Hamilton County. So I'll be summarizing the staff report for everyone today. So the appellant is requesting to construct a in-ground pool in the front yard on the property on question. The pool is proposed to be 18 foot by 45 feet or 810 square feet in size and be 9 feet east of the existing home. So fencing details have not been submitted for the proposal, but a homeowner has stated that any fencing would meet the requirements of the zoning resolution. So all we're looking at today is the pool being located in the front yard. So the proposed pool would exceed 10 feet, the 10 feet setback for the property lines, and would likely not be visible from Weatherstone Court due to mature trees and it being located on a flag lot accessed by a private drive. That said, the pool could be relocated to the west of the home to be located in the rear yard. However, the property does contain steep slopes behind the rear of the home. So building a pool there would require significant grading, potential costly retaining walls, and the associated removal of mature trees that exist behind the home. And it is also important to note that similar variances have been granted for accessory structures on nearby streets. So that's kind of the quick summary of the report. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Can you tell us how many or what type the other accessory structures were?
Yeah, so 2 of them were for pools, and then 1 was for a shed. So the shed was in the front yard, and the 2 pools were for the side yard. In those instances.
Thank you.
I have a question. Can you describe, always, we have a drawing, we have no photographs, and I'm just trying to understand, where are the streets?
Weatherstone
Do they not have
Court.
the photos for?
We have photos,
They're
but we don't
on
have
the
a full site
digital.
plan that we can see
Yeah.
surrounding neighbors and,
Yeah, the Stafford report does have like an aerial imagery, and if you look at that, to the right of that is where the pool is proposed. It doesn't look like the site plan, I believe, indicates where the streets are in relation, but on that site plan, the street is located like to the of the home in the picture. Does that answer your question?
No, it doesn't.
You better looking at my pictures.
Actually, this is the front of the house.
How does it, oh, so he has a driveway from here? Okay, and where does he park? Where does he?
Over in this area here.
So there's no street here, that's just a neighbor.
Driveway.
These are neighbors, so you drive in there, and that's why this looks like a front or sidewalk.
I believe so,
I do have landscape plans for the whole thing and other photos.
When you look directly at the house, it is near a cul-de-sac. When you look directly at the house, the front of the house, I presume.
From the street.
Yes, from the street, from Weatherstone Court. Where exactly does the pool want, where they want to put the pool? To the left behind, to the right behind, or
So
in the
if you-
middle behind, where?
So if you're looking from Weatherstone Court, it'd be
At
to
the
the
front
left,
door, at the front door.
But the front, yeah.
So it'd be on the rear left.
well, it's not, it's on the side of the building.
left. It's not
It is.
really-
When you say side of the building, I need a definition of that, because there's a house and a driveway to one side, there's a house and a driveway to the other side. There's no room. There's no really side, so it's that big backyard in the back.
It's the front. It's the pool is actually in the front yard technically, and so when you drive up, the private drive kind of goes to the left, and then you're kind of looking at that house because the house actually sits kind of diagonally, catacorner from the street when you're looking at it, the grand scheme of things, and the pool would be located to the left. Does that make sense?
But not behind it, where all the mature trees are.
Correct.
Not where there's the deep slope.
That's not where they're proposing. Correct.
So
That would be the rear yard over there.
That's classified as the rear yard.
Correct.
Okay. And then this pool will then be proposed to the front, more to the left, to the
Yes.
front of the house?
Yeah, in front of the house. In the
Oh,
front yard.
okay. Interesting. Thank you. I have another question. In your description from the owners, when they bought are there any, is the hot tub still there? Is the play set still there? Is the trampoline, are they still
I would
in
probably
operation?
I would defer to the owners to answer whether or not they'll still utilize those or if they're.
Are they still being operated? Yeah.
I don't remember seeing them when I did a site visit, but they might have just been somewhere I wasn't necessarily looking at the time.
And the owners are here? Oh, you two are the owners? welcome. Welcome. Okay.
I don't have any further questions at this time.
I don't have any at this point either.
Thank you.
Brian, you have any?
No.
Okay, thank you. Those going to be speaking for, please come up and state your name and address, please.
My name is Mark Hicks with Cincinnati Pool and Patio. I do have some photographs and letters from the homeowners that are around the property. Would you guys like a copy of those?
Well, are those certified?
Are they notarized?
Notarized?
Then we're
Then we
not allowed
can't
to
even-
take them as
Okay.
evidence.
Perfect.
Thank you. All we need. So, as he stated, is considered the front yard. I met the Bressons back in 19. I went out to the home. I looked at the property of where they wanted to put the pool. I knew it was a unique lot, and I said, I want to check with zoning first. And they were very adamant that that was their backyard because the deck's partially there, the hot tub is there. There was a play set that's been removed, trees that were removed. It's already fenced in that needs to be removed, but they didn't want to do that until they had some clarification on the pool. So the air conditioner's back there. It's been used as a rear yard from the beginning. And Brian probably doesn't remember this because it was 2.5 years ago today, but I spoke with him in like January of 20 with regards to the lot. And we had like a lengthy conversation about the lot, and the actual front yard was considered at the time in front of the garage. But then there was some confusion because the setback was not met to the current zoning code. And there was a variance that was given, I believe, for the addition of the garage. Is that correct? That was my notes, that there was a third car garage that was added because from 2008 picture to your 1993 picture, the front of the house looks totally different. And that yard has always been fenced in. And as one of the homeowners that is on the HOA that's here would state that that's always been used as that homeowner's rear yard. And it was also stated to me that probably due to the complexity of that lot, because in the so-called rear yard, which is to the west, there's a big sewer cap as you start to go down the hill, like they wanted to build another home back there. But since the builder ended up building that home and living in it for so long, I think they kind of just did what they wanted to previous to being sold. And the conclusion was with Brian and then meeting with Tom at zoning, everyone's been a little confused, just like yourself, Gary, of where is the rear yard, where is the side yard, front yard. Really doesn't have a front yard, it has two sides and that's all it's got. So, this side that is clearest to where you could actually build or do something is where it's always been considered the rear yard, even when the Bressons purchased the home. So that's where we came to realization that we were going to apply for a variance. Then March 2020 hit, COVID. We were busier than we could be. We postponed everything, and we didn't apply for stuff until now. So, the front door is located on the northwest side of the property, or the west side of the property. You enter the garages on the west side of the property, and you walk out the back door of the garage into the front yard. And there's no access in the front yard to get into the house. You have to go through the house and around. So it's I got back in my car when I left there prior to calling Brian, and I thought, this is just it's probably a good idea for a variance, so that's why we're here. But the whole yard's gonna be completely, it is fully screened now. You can't even see in the backyard with the photographs that we currently have today. And then with what they're doing, with all the landscape, you won't be able to even see the pool from the street. You can't see it, their yard basically from the neighbors right in front of them. And one is sitting behind us here, so. I guess it needs to be determined really, what is the front yard, side yards, because my letter July 5th said that we wanted the swimming pool to be located in the side yard, and as I read on, it says that we want it to be in the rear yard, or the front yard. So, again, do we know what it really, just through the uniqueness of the property? Do you remember our conversation 2.5 years ago?
No, but I can tell you unequivocally that nobody told you that this was the rear yard. It was in zoning. They may have been using it as the rear yard, but zoning does not dictate where you put the front door or where you come out of your house. As far as zoning is concerned, your front yard is always facing the street, so everything between the house and the street is front yard. Between the garages and the north side and between the house and the south side are your side yards. And then once you get behind the rear corner of the house, all the way down the west side, that's the rear yard.
So, yeah, no one said that that was the rear yard. That was our interpretation. I considered it a side yard.
Okay, yes.
All along. I always considered it a side yard. I thought they had two sides, no rear, like a corner lot.
And our conversation, if we had one, which I honestly don't recall.
Yeah, it was,
It's
it
been a
was
long
2.5
time.
years ago.
We got a lot of calls for accessory
Yes.
structures in 2020. But this would have been side or front. The only question is if it's a side or a front, and pools aren't allowed in the side or the front. So our conversation would have been about a variance to begin with.
You're absolutely correct.
Correct.
You're absolutely correct.
Okay.
Yes. It was because we didn't know really if that was a front yard because it didn't meet the setbacks.
It does. It meets the setbacks to the street.
Okay.
69 feet to the western or eastern property line. That's greater than the 50-foot front yard setback, and everything between the road, even though there is a panhandle between the panhandle
Okay.
access to the road and the front corner of the house, that's all front. Everything between the two sides, which are the northern property line and the southern property line in the house, those are side yards, and everything behind the house, west of the rear corner of the house, that's the rear yard. And that's absolutely clear. This isn't even a very unusual lot. It has frontage on the street. It's narrow. The rear yard is always opposite the narrowest depth that's defined in the zoning code. So it's going to be from the western edge of the house to the western property line. That's definitely the rear yards, no question.
Okay. So is that that's considered a side then?
To the north and to the south of the actual house would be the sides.
Okay.
The front is where you're proposing to put the pool because it's between the house and the road.
Correct? Is that correct?
I guess, can you put air conditioners in the front yard?
Yes, yeah, you can. There's no restriction on where you can locate air conditioners. You see on the map, there's a red panhandle outline.
Yep.
The house is here, the road is here, everything between the house and the road, which is pretty squared off, is front yard. You're putting the pool between the house and the road. That's the front yard. But regardless, it's not allowed in the side yard either. It needs a variance whether I say it's side yard or front yard.
Yeah. I guess that's why we're here, to ask for, some common sense issues to the,
Is this pool going to be a completely in-ground pool?
correct, with retractable cover, fencing.
Okay.
It's not just, it's not just a pool, it's a huge project. I mean,
Well, you have the pool and you have the concrete around it,
right,
and that's all going to be basically level to the ground.
absolutely.
Do
Have
you
you
know
guys
how
been, I'm sorry,
Do you know how steep the grade is in?
on the west side?
Mhm.
It's, I mean, it drops, it levels, it drops again.
Okay.
It's the terrain right, as you walk off their deck through the sunroom in the back, when you look down, I mean, you wouldn't roll down that hill. It's steep. It's extremely steep.
This picture in the staff report, the second one, actually shows.
I saw that, but it doesn't look all that steep to me.
Yeah.
So
So
that's why I was
so you
asking.
could have an infinity pool there, right?
There's a retaining wall already there. There's a retaining wall already there that levels out, and then it drops again significantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
I think most of the trees are, I would think, somewhat erosion control, especially on the we call the rear, but it's the side, I guess. Where there's only, because there's I think 3 lots there, 4 lots that they have, 4 parcels. And once you get beyond that, that little angled parcel there, that red line, I mean, it drops. It's not walkable.
I have a question. So what I understand so far is that if you look to the west of the house, and all I have is a site plan, I don't have any photographs, it's a steep grade
Extremely, yes.
and wooded
Yes.
trees,
Woodland.
and so it's not suitable there for anything like this. What is the grade on the east side of the house? And please tell me something about the orientation to the neighboring houses. I'm interested in the view of the neighboring houses of this swimming pool and whether or not it's going to be shielded or what kind of privacy there's going to be.
I have this, but it was not certified, which is a landscape plan. I do have pictures also which are similar to,
Okay.
that were in the
But just
report.
generally describe the grade on the
The
east side.
grade is level on that side.
Level on that side.
Level on that side. When you get beyond the tree line, there's a couple big trees there, and then that is a big ravine that goes down. So it's a creek.
Oh, here's the lot. And is that the house?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the rear yard,
Mr. Fowler,
this is the front.
there are pictures on page 5 of the staff report, and there's an overview of the property.
Not on my staff report.
Yeah, he didn't,
It's online, but not reported, so.
Do you want my copy?
that's that.
This is what I pulled up from the email.
That's the west
So-
side, okay. That's not so terrible, but
Yeah.
it's still impractical.
I just pulled it up as a PDF
It's a little bit
from
harder.
the email.
Okay. And what view is that?
The view looking from the private drive towards the pool location there.
From the private drive?
This is the street looking to where the pool's gonna be.
So the question I'm trying to understand is what view of this pool location do the neighbors have, and how many neighbors are we talking about?
That's about where the pool's gonna be.
There's
There.
3 neighbors that can see into their backyard.
That's-
And when
Okay.
the project's finished, they won't be able to.
Okay.
that's
Does the
orange
landscaping
fence.
map have to be certified? I thought the only thing that had to be notarized were witness
There's a lot of
statements.
trees
Or-
there.
Okay.
Okay.
So you
Thank
can
you.
show us
Perfect.
that. That would probably be very helpful.
Perfect, okay, thank you.
Yeah. So do your plans for the project include the fencing around the pool?
It does, but we were going for the variance before we submitted anything because it was
Okay.
gonna be denied.
Oh, I understand. I'm just trying to understand what kind of screening there will be to protect the view of the neighbors.
There's screening all the way through there. There's 6-foot marks, which will be 10 foot in 4 years.
Oh, so that's part of the project, but no immediate screening around the pool area
No,
itself?
Lawn still,
Okay.
only on the perimeter,
Mhm.
and the fence will be where it, sorry,
It's okay.
this is the road.
So that lawn to the east is roughly level to the neighbors?
Somewhat, yes,
Okay.
because of the creek that's there.
Okay.
Question. Is there a proposed lighting system around the pool? is there a proposed sound system?
There's no sound.
No
There
sound
is-
system.
No, there's LED, low voltage lighting.
And you can be assured that these lights will not have any impact on the neighbor's property or illuminate on their property in any way?
He's a lighting expert, and I would say that.
The
from
lighting
all-
we're using is mainly path lights, so they're 18 inches tall. We do have some spots that are going to go in the 3 large trees, but they will be on ours between the house and the tree, so when it's lit up, it'll look nothing more than, say, the moon. And no lights will be directed towards anybody.
So it has zero lot line cut off. Your lights will have zero lot line cut off. That you won't be shining any light into the neighbor.
No, they'll be going straight up in our property.
Can you have him identify himself and the name and the address for the record? Can you ask him to identify
Oh.
himself for the record, please?
Oh, were you sworn in?
No.
Please stand up, raise your right hand. Testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, you want to come up and give us your name and address, please?
James Neighbor with Cincinnati Pool and Patio. All of the lighting, actually, is that the arbs? Yeah, so the path lights that'll happen will be basically your knee height. And it's just a matter to be able to walk
Right.
around the concrete. The uplighting is a small spot about this big, say 4 inch in diameter. Has a shield on it, so it's not gonna shine towards anything, it's gonna shine directly straight up. So no light will go direct towards anybody's property except for their own. They will be going directly straight.
Will the lights be on a timing pattern? Will they
It'll be on
illuminated all
they can be
night,
on
or-
a photocell, which would be dusted on, or they can be turned off at any time that you choose. But they will go on when it gets dark. And most of the
they'll stay
time,
on until you turn them off?
or the sun comes up.
So they could be on all night?
Correct, but it'll be nothing more than any lighting that would look like the moon. And it's a lot of times safety. You can navigate around the backyard without having to turn on. They're not, like you have people that have floodlights on the house that shine out into the yard. Won't look like that at all. So if they have a floodlight on their house, that would shine towards those properties more than what we would be doing.
With the supermoon that we're gonna be having, they won't need any lights.
Well,
Mr. Fowler, does that help you with the
Very
grade
much
on the
so.
opposite? I mean,
Absolutely, it's the other one, it looked like it was like that, and then went down low and then leveled out again, so that made a lot more
The
sense.
first two pictures you showed, view at the home from the left, followed by the view looking out to the left of the house, that's where the pools
So
go?
the pool would be right there, right against the house. I'm standing at the back of the property. And then the other picture is I'm standing against the house, shooting at that.
Gotcha, thank you very much.
And this would be all arborvitae all the way across. So that house is here, the other house is in here. And if you look at the one photo, that's the house right now.
Right.
But we're gonna add evergreens.
So there are already trees in here somewhere.
There are large trees, and this is all wood to the behind here. So it's
So there's not,
this is
wait a
where
minute,
the-
wait a minute. Okay, there's not a house immediately right here.
No, there's a big ravine. The
Okay,
house is way back there, which is that picture you saw of the white.
right, I saw
So you
that.
can't even see that house, but these will be 6-foot evergreens, and they will grow within like 4 years or 5 years.
Great, thank you.
Which is, this was the look. Did you give that one picture, Mark, with the one?
Then I'll give up.
This is what that screening will look. That's what they look like.
Oh, great.
And this is a house back here. It's a 2-story house. You can't.
Where exactly?
And that's
Yeah,
right
I already
now,
have
you
that
can't
one.
see it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Where exactly?
So we're looking right over where the pool is.
And
Well,
that's
no,
not,
this is an
that's
example
not
of the tree.
seen from
Okay.
What they look like.
Weatherstone
And if you
Court, is
notice
it?
that from this here is a house.
Well, if you can ask him questions, you got
Right.
it. He has to be up there to answer.
Okay.
If you look at this photo,
This is looking this way.
this here, right behind this fence, is a huge ravine.
Right.
This is like 200 and something feet back.
Right, okay.
Sorry, so if you look at it.
Great, thank you. Yes, thanks.
I don't have any more questions at the moment. Do you guys?
Okay. I do not at this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else going to be speaking for? Raise your right hand. Testimony you're about to give is the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Thank you.
My name is Lance McLean. I live at 10725, which is one of the houses that are, if you go down the driveway, I'm the first house on the right as they go back. Our whole back deck faces directly at their house.
Okay.
Based on, and it's very hard to conceptually see what we see until you get there because of all the trees and the ravines that we've been talking about. But we've lived there for 30 years. The prior two owners we've known. The lot, whether it's, I understand if it's side lot, it doesn't matter, there has to be a zone for it. That's so wooded now that we can barely see them. I mean, we see it back there, but there's really nothing visually that we would see anything being a bother for us.
Okay. Any questions for this gentleman?
That speaks to your house. Are there any other of those immediate neighbors closer than you with a
There's
much
two
closer?
others, I would say, on that have different views than we do. One has a more wooded view than we do, and the other one's a little more direct, and they didn't get certified because we had letters done.
I understand. Okay.
Yeah, there's
Can
a-
you come here and show me which one on this one? Because I think it's where the A is. Is that you?
Yes, I'm the A.
You have these pictures?
I'm the A right there.
Yes,
There's a whole stack.
Yep, that's me.
you're the A. Okay. Wonderful, thank you.
Anything else?
To the best of your knowledge, is there any neighbor that has concern about this?
There's none.
Well, he can't answer that question.
If he's in communication with
No,
them?
he cannot
He cannot
respond to
answer
that.
that
That's
question?
hearsay.
Withdraw that question.
Okay, I withdraw my answer. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else here to speak for?
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, come on up, please, before I ask.
The deciding factor is other neighbors with regards to it. I would like you not to refuse the variance and put it back on if that is going to be the case, and get them here because they're the ones that are immediately in front of them are all for it, and one is the president of the HOA and has been for 35 years.
Well,
So
there's
that's
no
what-
definitive proof of that.
right. That's what I said instead of denying it.
And they didn't show up here, so we
Right.
can't take your testimony.
Right, that's what I'm saying, instead
So,
of if it was going to be denied, if we could please consider that. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody here to speak against? Okay, at this point then, I close the hearing for deliberation.
Do we have questions for the owners?
question?
What was that?
They didn't testify.
Yeah, the owners.
The owners didn't want to stand up and talk.
They didn't want to. You know, we have questions for them. We may have questions for them.
If you want to, because they didn't stand up, come on up here. Raise your right hand. Testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. State your name and address, please.
Amanda Ferrier, 107 address. Now I'm nervous.
10721 Weatherstone.
Weatherstone Court.
I'm Timothy Bresson, I'm her husband.
Okay. Any questions for the owners?
Yes, I have a question. Have you spoken to your neighbors about this?
Yes.
Yes.
And to the best of your knowledge, favorable response?
All favorable responses. And the head of the HOA would have been here, but he had a family emergency, so he's in Detroit. But our house is not visible from the street. You see Mr. McLean's house and the HOA president's house from the street. You can't see our street unless you go down the private drive. The other house that's down in that cul-de-sac with us looks to the other side of our house, not the proposed pool side. So it's not visible. There will be a ravine on one side and on the back, and then trees. So, you know, again, we've utilized that as a backyard. It's a fenced yard that's been utilized as kind of the back since we bought the house. It has a trampoline back there. It had the existing hot tub, which we had removed because it was worn and a hazard, and we're attempting to beautify the condition of the yard, which has been dilapidated and hasn't had much attention for many years. So again, just utilizing the property the way it's been utilized.
Does anybody else have questions?
Any other questions? I don't.
I don't.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm closing the.
My question can wait. It's okay. It's not directly related to this.
I'm closing the testimony and going to deliberation. Comments, remarks?
I don't have any issues with it. It's we've given other variances. It's an older neighborhood, and I don't see issues.
Okay, it's an unusually shaped lot. It's a pretty secluded property, and the strict definitions and the topography weigh against them getting any useful, any good use of their property other than on the side where they propose to build the swimming pool. So I have no objection to the application for a variance.
Okay, any other comments, remarks?
Move.
Well, at this
Go
point, I'm okay with building the pool, and since the only thing that's really in front of us is the variance for the pool. Everything else that's gonna come up will, that needs a variance will show up. The fencing around the pool require a variance. And I think I would assume lighting. Brian, would lighting come up?
Yeah.
Or is this all in all?
The appellant and the pool company both have stated that they're going to put up 4-foot fencing that's consistent with the zoning code, so I doubt that they'll be back for a fence variance.
Okay.
And then the lighting wouldn't require a variance either, as long as it's residential lighting. There's no zoning requirements for it, other than.
Can we put a timing restriction on it? Put a timer on it to shut it off?
You can. The only concern that I would have is it'll be, one, hard to enforce, obviously, because it only comes on at night, and your timing restriction will be late. So our zoning inspector would have to be out there in the middle of the night to see it on. And then the only other thing is that there's no restrictions on any of the lighting for any of the neighboring houses. You know, all of the floodlights that neighboring houses have that come on, motion lights or not, they may be on all night. There's no restrictions on that for any of the other surrounding properties, so.
Okay. And we have to go by, you know, the factors to consider. Can the property in question yield a reasonable return or be used in a beneficial way without the variance? Without putting the swimming pool in the front yard? Yeah, in a way, but it's probably the best place. Is the variance substantial deviation from the zoning code? It's not a substantial variance. We've granted them before, and the pool is going to be hidden, even from the street now, even though there are the trees there. You really can't see the pool because it's going to be level to the ground. Will the essential character of the neighborhood be substantially altered, or would adjoining properties suffer substantial detriment as a result of the variance? I do not think so. Will the variance adversely affect the delivery of government services? No. Did the property owners purchase the property with knowledge of the zoning restrictions? That question I cannot answer, because they're the only ones that can answer that question. Can the property owner's predicament be feasibly obtained through some other methods other than the variance? Yes, it can, but spending a lot of money putting the pool in the back. On that low sloping ground, they would have to raise it up, build some other things to deal with. Will the spirit and intent behind the zoning restrictions be observed as substantially justice done by granting the variance? And I think that it will be. So that's why I'm for it. That's my opinion and my justification. So at this time, if there aren't any comments, anyone like to make a motion?
I move for approval.
I second.
Do we need to, I think, expand upon that? The approval of BZA 2020-005 for the construction of the swimming pool as presented to this board. Is everyone in agreement with that statement?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. And do we have a second?
I second.
Okay. Do we have a vote?
Ready?
Yep.
Mr. Tripp?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Mr. Fowler?
Aye.
Ms. Harlow?
Aye.
Okay, go forth and build.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
And thank your neighbor for coming out too, because it's great when people actually come to the meetings, so thank you, even if it's a Monday.
Very unique design.
They have a tough position.
Luann, do you want these to, do
Okay.
you want
Unique
these?
design.
Pictures.
It seems like they have all the
Okay.
bases covered.
Okay, guys, we have now any
Enjoy,
old
yeah.
business?
I don't have anything.
Any new business? Administrative matters.
We've got minutes that we have not approved because we have.
Thank you very much.
We had four.
And ladies.
So, the first one is October 4th, 2021. But I didn't- I gave you copies in the past, but obviously I didn't give you copies this time, so what do you want to do?
Do you know who was here
It was, what cases?
for October last fall?
October, who's here?
Isn't that
Mr.
it?
Fowler, Ms. Harlow, and Mr. Wolf were here.
Okay, so there's three of us, so we can,
You can approve it, but, yeah, did you read them? I mean, I've made copies of them so many times, and now this time I forgot.
You did send them.
I read them at
I
some
did send them
point.
several times, because it's from November.
It was probably in November, December.
If you got them, and I assume that you didn't make any notations on any
Yeah.
changes, or you
Yeah.
probably would have remembered you haven't done that, so.
So I think I can approve it because I've looked them over
I
and
can
at that time, didn't have any comments.
Do you, okay,
I need a second.
second?
I'll second it.
No, you made the motion.
Oh, okay. I move that we approve the October 4th, 2021 minutes as written.
Second?
You'll have to abstain.
I abstain.
Okay. Now, the next one is going to be,
Well, wait, they
you
didn't vote yet.
Now we have the approval of November 1st.
have to vote?
Yeah, you do have to vote.
Individually?
Well, no, I don't think, did you do that? All in favor, say aye for those minutes?
Were we all here for that one too?
Yes.
I
Okay.
abstain.
I think we will approve the minutes of November 1st, 2021.
It's you three amigos.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And Mr. Trick, you
And,
I abstain.
and approve of March 7th, 2022 meeting minutes.
Second.
Did you guys read those?
Yes.
And that was one in the packet.
Yeah,
And I
that's
read
all
that
in
one
it,
too.
right. I need a second.
Second.
That was the good thing about being on vacation. You get to read all the important stuff.
This one. Okay, so you're gonna take a vote to approve those?
Oh,
Okay, I'll call.
The last one, because
Roll call.
Ms. Harlow will have to abstain on that last one.
I was, oh, for March? Yes, I was not here for March.
so do we have three of us?
Roll call.
Yes, there
Okay.
are,
Gary was here.
Mr. Trick,
Okay.
aye.
yes.
Okay. Mr. Fowler?
Aye.
Ms.
All three.
Harlow?
Abstain?
Mr. Trick?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Okay, and I'm not sure if we have a case for next month or not. I will be-
Every time I'm the chair, we have like 2 cases. What is this?
I was chair during Zoom. I was just hoping at some point I'd get to use the hammer, you know?
This may not,
Well, you see this? This is the hammer.
this may not be the last
Okay.
pool variance.
I move that we adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.